This week we're talking about
RV essentials. Stay tuned, we'll be back in 30 seconds.
on your first journey in your RV, there's a few things that you should make sure you have with you.
This is a list that we've compiled of basic RV accessory essentials. There's not a lot of them, but we feel these are things that you must have.
Don't leave home without them.
So a few of the basic essentials that we have compiled this list of, these are must-haves, not wants. Some leveling blocks. We've got 2 packs of them. We only use 1 pack at a time when we're traveling, but if you have a site that you get into and it's got a steep grade or it's really unlevel, you're going to need 2 packs. I'm not using any right now, as if you take a look under here, what I'm using in our home position is big blocks of wood. We don't travel with those because they are very heavy, and the plastic ones are nice and light. They take care of everything else that we need. Aside from that, you're going to need tire chocks. I would say at least 2 for when you're setting up. That's the first thing that goes into the tires, so you don't roll forward or backwards when you're unhooking.
And I guess ours are already in place.
Yes, ours are in place, so I can't pull them out because they're under pressure. Thirdly, a good level. I use a larger one for when we first get to a place, so I can set it in the doorway and level front to back. You're going to level side to side first, and that's where curved leveling blocks come in. We do carry a set of these at all times. You're only going to need to pick up one side or the other of the rig at a time, so they come in pairs. If you've got a single axle trailer, well, you're going to have a spare. Those are great to have. Instead of building up a small pyramid of these, you can use the leveling blocks. Those will get you an easy 4 inches of height on one side. A lot of people carry the Andersons, which are a little bit larger than these, but they're about 3 times the price as far as I'm concerned. These are made by Camco. I'll put a link in the description down below. So I've got the level. I started on the tongue jack to make sure side to side is level. This one here is for front to back. And for any fine tuning, I use a small level. Simple. The next section of RV basic essentials, you're going to need a water filter system. Some people can put a lot of money into these. This one here, I got a pair of them for, I think it was $28, which is definitely cheap. They're good for about 1,300 gallons to run through. So once or twice a year, depending on how often you use your rig, that's a definite must. This one here is a drinking water hose. Everybody needs one. You can use a regular garden hose if you like. That would mean if you like lead or lead in your water or the taste of rubber. You can use a garden hose, fine, no problem. Although I wouldn't recommend it, it's not very healthy. These are BPA free, lead free, and they will last a long time. Very simple to hook up. I've got quick connects on them for regular changeover. We do use a heated hose in the winter. You can use that all year round, but I've got this as well, and I use them both fairly often. They're great for an extension hose as well. The other thing that you're going to need is a sewer hose, a dump hose. There are different qualities, different price ranges. This one here is made by Rhino. I would say it's a mid-range. This one here, I'll put in the description down below from what we picked up. We've got a 20-foot hose. I do have a 10-foot extension. And then this one came with a couple of connectors as well. the 90-degree elbow that goes into the ground and the one that comes out of the rig. That's a definite must. Also, with the sewer hose, this little, I guess you could call it a step ladder for the hose. Some RV parks tell you actually have to have one. It's mandatory for being in their park. I keep it just to basically keep it off the ground, and it's a nice level angle into the dump line. It's not an absolute must, but I would recommend you grab one. They come in 10, 15, and 25 foot lengths, I do believe, and it all depends on your setup.
What about that orange hose you got there, Brent?
The orange hose, we have a flush system in our black tank that I've got the orange hose, and that is just for the black water flush out. It does not go with any of our drinking lines for obvious reason. We keep them separately, orange for dirty and white for clean. The orange just goes straight for the black flush out. Whenever I dump the tanks, I give it a flush, and that's the only time I use the orange.
Alrighty then. So that's all the hoses we need?
Yep, the third section, I guess you could call it, of RV Essentials is dog bones and electrical additions. This one here goes from a 50 amp down to a 30 amp. So if you have a 50 amp rig and you get to a campsite, you've only got the possibility of a 30 amp plug or even a 15 amp plug. This will go down to the 30. You could get another little add-on like that, or another dog bone, of course, and that'll go down to a 15. That'll give you basic power. It's not, you're not gonna run your AC off of the 15 amp, but on a 30 amp, you can probably run one AC in addition to your fridge, and that'll give you the basics. Some have little locking mechanisms on them. That is from a 15 amp to a locking 30. There's all different configurations of these. We've got a 50 amp down to a 30 and a 15 in a pigtail. So it is all in one large unit, and it does us just fine. If I don't have that 15 hooked up, we can't use the microwave. There's one more thing in the electrical system that is absolutely a must. It's a surge protector. You can have them hardwired. They start out probably in the $300 to $350 range to hardwire it into your rig. This one here cost me $180. I'll put a link down below. And that is as basic as you want to get. If you have any electronics that you don't want to damage, cell phone chargers, personal computer, laptop, anything like that, a surge protector is a must.
What's up next, Brent?
There's a few different groups that we can talk about. The first group I want to talk about is air. How you're going to, and jacking up your trailer or your truck for that matter. If you need air in your tire, or even for a rubber dinghy or a boat, you're going to need something that can get the PSI that you need. I use 80 in my tires for both vehicles. I've got a Viair for that. Hooks onto the battery. You can get them that plug straight into a 110 outlet. I prefer this one, so if you just have to have the vehicle running and gives you all the juice you need. This will go up to 150 PSI. Along with that, you're going to need a decent tire gauge. The tire gauge I used to have, it's just a 50. It goes up to 50 PSI. Since both tires on the truck and the trailer are well over that, you have to get one that's a little more substantial, I guess. This one goes up to 120 PSI, and that'll do the trick. In addition to that, you're going to need a decent jack. The truck jack will work in a pinch. I've got a 12-ton bottle jack. That'll lift anything that we need. I'm thinking about getting a second one for other projects as well, but that's another ball of wax. The next section requires you to be sort of mechanically inclined. You don't need to be a mechanic to deal with a lot of the items that you have to deal with, but you're going to need a decent torque wrench. This one I think was only around $45–50. It goes up to 250 PS or pounds per square inch, or foot-pounds of torque, that is, sorry. And it handles everything that we need to with the truck and the trailer. In addition to that, I've got a decent, fairly portable socket set. It's got a few wrenches in it. This socket set goes up to 3/4 inch. I've got a couple sockets that are a little bit larger that I use for the plug on the water tank, and then on the equalizer hitch there's one that's a little bit larger as well. So I've got, this is the basic one. It's got SAE and metric, and that covers everything that we need. One other minor thing that you might need, a decent grease gun. These are very inexpensive, but they're very necessary. The Zerk fittings on your axles, any of your suspension components on your truck or your trailer, you will need them eventually. And you don't have to do it all the time, but it's good to learn just minor mechanical needs. And the next section of things is basically hole repair, mainly in your roof if you have issues up there. I always carry at least one tube of lap sealant. I don't use it a lot, but when I do, I go through a full tube at a shot. Whether it's around the edges or just on one small little hole, I will use it just to seal up everything completely watertight. And then after that, I always put on some tape. This here is just Gorilla Tape. It works fairly well. I have not tried it on the roof of the RV. I had some other stuff which is made by Pro Tapes. This is great for simple fixes. I just haven't tested it up there. The Pro Tapes, I have used the 2-inch and the 6-inch and done almost the entire roof. Every seal, around every vent, every corner, I've covered up all of the DAP with tape, and it is bulletproof. The next section is very important. You're going to have to do some repairs on your RV eventually. You might not want to, but you might have to. And this is a fairly inexpensive tool or set of tools to have. It's a Pex Crimping Set. It comes with the crimper itself, the cutter, cuts it nice and smooth, and I also got different T's and L's and a couple different brass connectors for if you have to put a couple hoses together. And also these are the crimping rings. I got a few different sizes. I got 3 different sizes in here. You might only need one in 6 months or a year, but it's good to have options and a couple of spares kicking around. Not a lot of people want to get under there and work on their PEX system, which is basically your entire plumbing system for your RV. So it's good to know a little bit about it and have the tools to fix it if need be. One thing I forgot to mention earlier in the video is when I'm leveling, I always use this one, and then I've got a smaller one that I do use for leveling the rig. I start this one off on the tongue jack, and we level side to side for sure. Once it's disconnected, we level front to back. And I use this in one of the storage bay doors. What I used to have is a small bubble level on the side of the rig here, but over a couple of years it's worn off and it fell off on us. So I will be getting a new one, but the problem with those is on this particular trailer, the walls, the side walls are the only smooth parts. And if you take a look at the nose cap, it's very well rounded, and it's got no good flat point to mount any leveling bubble on it. So the best place is just on the side of the rig. When I do my adjustments, I can step back 2 feet, take a look. But for now, this is all I use.
There's one very big essential item that Brent has not mentioned yet.
The tow vehicle.
So that's a really big topic. So we're going to hang off with that one, and we are going to talk more in depth about that next week.
Give us a thumbs up if you like what you see.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And ring that bell for notifications.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. if you're mechanically inclined, which you would hopefully you, let's start this over.
Okay, just carry on.
And then in addition to these, I bought a set of rings for your Pex system. It will clamp any of your hoses. It comes in various sizes, so just be aware of what size you're getting. This comes with, I think, 3 different sizes, so I got a little bit of everything. Never can be too. Oops.
There's one really big, very essential.
Very essential, yes.
Item that we haven't mentioned. That would be your
tow truck.
Not a tow truck. So, hope you enjoyed seeing what all our essentials are. Bye for now.
Thumbs up if you like what you see.
Okay,